mentioned that you paid quite close attention to the CRI, which was held in Shanghai not long ago, and you praised China's efforts to continue opening up and following the trend of globalization. And at the same time, you affirmed that China's anti-COVID policy is based on science. So my question is, how would you comment on China's efforts to continue opening up while working on COVID prevention and control? And what will be your specific expectation for China's high-level opening up? Like, in which area would you like to see more openness?
Well, you mentioned the COVID policy, and it's clear that China is now transitioning to fully reopening. In fact, despite the fact that we still have many controls, COVID controls in place in China, despite the fact that we still have quarantine requirements for international arrivals, these have relaxed considerably over the last several months and are expected to continue to do so as a general trend. There will be ups and downs along the way to ensure that we don't have unmanageable surges that can overwhelm local health systems or see unacceptable mortality rates. But it seems reasonable to project that by spring, perhaps summer, we'll be reaching some kind of new normal. We know the EU wants more access to some key markets. India, for example, wants more access to China's pharmaceutical market. And this is what some people have in mind when they talk about openness. Now, China says it remains committed to opening up, and we see this is true on many different fronts, and it's being facilitated by events like CIIE and others. But it's also true that China won't embrace policies merely on principle that in turn harm Chinese interest. That said, we know there are some areas, for example, electric vehicles, where China invited international competition from Tesla, for example, to push domestic producers. And we have seen very clear results. Both Tesla and domestic producers have done quite well as a result of this kind of opening up. But I think of openness, from my perspective, in a different way. In short, China has been, I think, too focused on the United States, too concerned about U.S. policies. Of course, one has to pay close attention to these things, but one should not be distracted from making new friends elsewhere and strengthening those relationships instead of being too worried about American histrionics. And I think this is precisely what China has done and increasingly accelerated over the past decade, but especially in the last 3 to 4 years. So in this way, we can say that Chinese foreign policy has become more open, less US-centric, and more globalized than before.